John Lusk here, Lusk Archery Adventures, series testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing a head that I've probably gotten the most requests to test in recent months, and it comes with a lot of publicity, and that is the G5 T2 mechanical head. Just the overall look of it looks promising, and the hype and the advertisements certainly are promising, but I'm going to put it to the test and see how well it really performs. And for the testing, I'm going to be using my regimen for 2024. For a detailed description of that, all the explanation of how I do what I do, why I do it, please check out the video I posted earlier this year called 2024 Broadhead Test Process. And for most of the shooting, I'm using my Elite Era that I am just loving this year. And then for the accuracy, the flight testing, I'm going to be using my Killer Instinct SWAT X1 crossbow that I'm also really loving. For all the testing, I'm using Bishop arrows and bolts because they're really good. And so let's zoom on in here, go through some of the design features and specifications of this T2, and then put it to the test. Here's a good look at this head, and it looks a lot like a Rage, right? I mean, it looks so similar in many ways, just simple mechanical in many ways, and they advertise it that way, just a simple design. So some of the things that make it unique, first of all, it's all steel. So it's got an all steel ferrule, and then it's got steel blades. The blades are 0.035 inches thick, so decent thickness to the blades. The cutting diameter when it's open is 2 inches, plus you get a little bit of cut with that chisel tip. They call it a zip tip. And the blades are very securely closed. There's a mechanism that they call ball and socket closure, where the blades just kind of snap in place at the top. The first one's really easy to get in place. The second one, you kind of got to finagle it a bit, but that's a good thing. It holds them very securely in place. And you notice there's no O-ring, there's no retention clip, there's nothing like that. In the closed position, you got a cutting diameter here of 0.84 inches. So there's quite a bit of exposed blade here, like in other broadheads that have a similar design. So kind of like a small fixed blade in many ways. So let me show it. Oh, and the length, the overall length is 1.4 inches beyond the end of the arrow. Now the way it works is these two deployment arms, the back of the blades, impact a medium, they're forced back and they force the blades open. I will say it takes quite a bit of force, okay? I'm sure on impact it's going to do it, but like when I push, I mean, it just doesn't want to open. And so it takes quite a bit of force. That's one of the trade-offs. It's kind of a good thing in many ways to not have to worry about an O-ring or a tension clip, but sometimes it makes it a little more difficult to open up. Here it is in the open position. Looks just like that, and you see just a simple design. And again, this is a rear deploying broadhead, so you're going to get a pretty good, I would imagine, entrance hole, and the blades are going to stay in their open position like that as long as there's force pressing on these ends right here, these deployment arms. If there's not force pressing, then they'll just kind of fall back like that. And it's not considered barred because they can flip forward just like that. So for resharpening, what I would use is the Stay Sharp Guide replaceable blade kit. I think that would work really well on these blades. Really eager to put this head to the test and see how it performs. The T2 got the 9 ring. It took 148 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 10 on a 10-point scale, plus it gets a bonus for being under the threshold of 200. It penetrated 7.5 inches. And here's the entrance hole. The blade's fully deployed, and they stayed deployed the entire time. It took an additional 44 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 9.12 on a 10-point scale. It penetrated through 51 layers, which is a 7.29 on a 10-point scale. And I will note that the last inch of that was just from the tip and not the blades themselves. head's in pristine condition after the 3 shots through the MDF. And here it is after 1 shot in the steel plate. Unfortunately, I didn't get it on camera. I forgot to turn the camera on. But on the first shot, it did make a decent hole, but you see the blades broke. One of them is wedged in there in the right side of that hole, and the other one just came out. So I didn't do a second shot because the blades broke on the first shot. So here it is after all the durability testing, and it did great through the MDF. It unfortunately, in the first shot in the steel, it lost those blades, and I didn't want to do another shot after that in the second shot in the steel. But in the concrete, it held together really well, and it penetrated really deeply, like about that far, about a ½ an inch of penetration, and there's a little bit of a wobble to it. So disappointed with the durability in the steel plate, but it did well in the other tests. So what'd you think? You know, there's a lot to really like about this head. It flew pretty well. It doesn't use O-rings. Seems like a really secure system they have in place for that. And it penetrated decently. The blades were really sharp. So really some good strengths. I was disappointed with the durability through steel plate. I know we don't hunt steel plate. I understand that. So refrain from making those comments. But usually even mechanicals do a bit better than this one did on it. At least a lot of them do. But otherwise, it held up really well. And you check out the score sheet and see how it performed in the areas that might matter to you the most. See if it might be a good fit for you. And stay tuned for the overall scores as well as the cumulative Lusk grade. And stay tuned for a list of all the discount codes that I have so far in 2024. I'm updating that all the time, and so you can see the updated list of all the discount codes in the video description. So in the written description of the video at the bottom, I list all those codes. I can't change it once a video is posted, but I can change it in the description box. I can't change the video and that slide at the end with all the discount codes, but I can change the description. So check that out and see if you might find something that can be useful to you. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you next time.